Hello my crafters, it's Leah here. Today I have very beautiful project for you, and it's a greeting card with a tutorial. After I explain how this card is made, don't go away. There is a step-by-step tutorial how to create this card. This card is like three-dimensional. That's how I like to make my cards, and it's a little bit oversized from what crafters normally do. It's 8 by 7 inches, and for this card I used patterns and solids paper, actually 2 sheets from this paper pad, pattern papers from 8 by 8 pad, and 5 ephemera cards, and 2 chipboard pieces from chipboard sheet. And when I make 3D cards, I like to put all the images on chipboard piece, so that makes my cards really 3D looking. For that I also used chipboard sheets from Graphic 45, and it says 32 point medium weight, and there are like 10 pieces inside. Okay ladies, so now let's go and make this card. Now let's take a closer look of this card. Here on the front I created this frame with chipboard pieces, and here this ephemera card is also adhered onto chipboard piece. So look here, I'm gonna show you from the side how this greeting card looks. It's really three-dimensional. It's perfect how I like it. So here is another ephemera card also adhered on 2 chipboard pieces, and then here you see 2 elements from a chipboard sheet. And then when you open the card, and this is part of 3D, and this is part of photomat inside. So you open the card, and then inside you have this photomat with ephemera card. And what you can do here, you can journal or do something else, or you can place like a photo of the recipient. So this is always very cute if you do that. And then here on another side is another ephemera card, and then you open this flap and you have here another ephemera card for journaling. It is always beautiful if you put like more quotes in the card. So that's what I like to do, not just well wishes, but I always like to put like something. I like to write something more. And here is again, or you can place some ephemera card for journaling, or you can also here put another photo of the recipient. And here on the back, I just covered the back with beautiful pattern papers. Okay, this is the card, ladies, that we are gonna make today. For this greeting card, you will create more different layers. And first, what we are gonna do is create a frame. So for this, you will cut 2 pieces of chipboard at 5 by 7 inches. And this is great. Chipboard is one. For those that like thinner layers, you can use like 1 chipboard, or if you like thicker layers, so you can cut more pieces and then just adhere them together. Like I said, for the frame I wanted to create a little bit more dimensions, so I cut out 2 pieces. And next we are gonna create the frame. This frame will have 1/2 inch border. You will have to measure in from every edge. So first we are gonna do it on 5-inch side, so just measure 1/2 inch from 5 inches, that's 4 by 1/2, and then here you will start cutting at 0.5 inches, and here you will stop at 6 by 5. 6.5 inches. So here you start at 0.5 and then cut all the way to 6.5 inches, and then you stop. And then turn your piece around and 7 inch part will be here at the top, and start at 6.5 inches. And again, you will start at 1/2 inch mark, and then you will cut all the way to 4.5. I mean, you will stop at 4.5 inches. So here you go and then stop, and then again, then turn your piece. 5-inch edge should be on the top, and then do the same as you did with the opposite. Okay, you start here at 1/2 inch, and then you do it all the way to, and then you stop at 6.5, and then this side. So here, this is piece 1, I mean this is frame 1, and now do the same with the other frame. So both pieces are adhered together, and what you're gonna do next is pick binding material of, wrapping material of your choice, because you are going to wrap this frame. So you can take fabric, you can choose cardstock or paper, whatever you like. I suggest that you use lighter, not so heavy cardstock, because it's gonna be easier for you to wrap the cardstock around the edges of the chipboard. Adhere the frame onto your covering material, and then take your scissors and cut off the corners. And before you're going to apply glue to the flaps, take bone folder and crease on all sides of the edges. And first you're going to adhere your paper onto outer edges of the frame. And next, cut your paper around inner edges, around 1/2 inch from each edge. And make tiny slits here on each corner. Now pick one ephemera card of your choice. I picked this one. I just really like this image. If you pick the same ephemera card as I did, then just cut around these yellow edges. I just want this blue frame to be cut out. This is how your tag should look when you cut blue border. And then cut black cardstock just slightly larger than your ephemera card and adhere it down. And adhere this to your cardstock. you will form around 1/16 of an inch border of a cardstock around your card. Set this piece aside, you will use it later, and then take your frame you created earlier, and what you're gonna do is the cut piece of paper. I like this blue dot, and you can choose any paper of your choice, and cut this paper at 4, I think it's 4 7/8 of an inch by 6 7/8 of an inch, and then measure 3/8 of an inch in from each edge, and then cut out the piece. Set this piece aside for a while, and you will create base of your greeting card. For the base, you will need to cut 2 pieces of cardstock. One piece cut at 10.5 by 7 inches, and score, and on 10.5 inch score at 2.5 inches. This 2.5 inch should be on the right hand side. And next, what you're gonna do is cut one piece at 6 by 7, and then score on 6-inch side, score at 1/2 inch, and here fold, and take your scissors and just cut here on each side, on each corners. What you will do with this piece is you will adhere it. So here you will glue it on this side, on left side. So it's gonna be glued right here. Take your glue and apply it on 1/2 inch hinge, and glue this flap on left side of the base. Okay, this is how your base should look when assembled. Then I cut out the border from 8x8 paper. As you can see, there are like 2 different patterns, and this is around 3/8, a little bit more than 3/8 of an inch, the size of the border, and it's 6 7/8 of an inch in length. And apply glue to the back of the border. Okay, and then adhere the border to left side of this flap. And then you will take this frame that we created earlier in the beginning. I think this was first step that we created, and you will line left edge of the frame with the edge of border, and make sure that these 2 right edges of the flap and border are aligned. So it doesn't matter if your border is glued down a little bit over this border, just make sure that here on this side everything is aligned, and top and bottom edges of the frame and the flap should be also aligned. And then you can apply wet glue on the back of the frame, or you can apply any like score tape or any other tape. So in my case, I will apply score tape to the back. When you're finished applying tape or glue, then take them peels off. And then don't forget to line the edges and adhere the frame down. Okay, so this is how your front should look so far. So next, take 8x8 paper. You can take the same design or any design you desire. And first measure the opening of the frame. It's like 1/16 of an inch shorter than 4 inches. And around 1/16 of an inch shorter than 6 inches, and 1/16 of an inch shorter than smaller than 4 inches. But you know, it depends what kind of wrapping material you use. If you used a little bit thicker material, then your size of the paper should be different. So just measure before you cut the paper. When you cut the paper a desired size, then you can ink edges with the color that you like, and then apply glue. Center the paper into the opening of the frame. And adhere the paper down. Then take your ephemera card you created earlier and glue it down to cardstock. What you will need to do next, I mean, you can just apply glue to the back of the card and adhere it in the middle of the frame, or if you want some more dimension, just take a piece of chipboard. I mean, just cut a piece of chipboard a little bit smaller than your tag. So here you can see how smaller it is. It's like around 1/16 of an inch smaller on all around all the edges. Okay, then apply glue to chipboard, and this chipboard is around 1 millimeter thick, so it's not as thick as the frame. It's just one. I mean, when we created a frame, there were like 2 thicknesses, so 2 chipboard pieces. Two chipboard pieces glued together, but here this is only one chipboard piece. Turn your card over and then adhere chipboard to the back of your card. Okay, there we go. And then you can apply wet glue or score tape or any other tape. For this step, you don't need to use like any strong tape, so just regular double-sided tape should be fine. So I'm just gonna take double-sided tape. And before glue it down, just see where you will adhere it. Just find your desired position. So it's gonna be like that. And now I will remove the tape backing. Next step is optional. You can apply wet glue to the area of chipboard without double-sided tape. So you can do it like that. And then just adhere it down. Okay, look how nice it looks. So I hope you like making your greeting card so far. So now set this piece aside and let's move to our next step. And next you will cut another border, and this border is also from 8x8 paper, and it's like, see, before I cut this border here on the left side and this border was here at the bottom, so this is like top part of the paper, and you will see better how it looks here. So yeah, this is here on this paper. This is the first border. You will cut it, and the border is around 3/16 of an inch, and you will cut it at 6 7/8 of an inch. So first, cut the border out. Okay, this is your border, and it's like I said before, I think, I'm not sure, it's 3/16 of an inch wide, and cut it at 6 7/8 of an inch. So another paper that you will cut is also from 8x8 pad, and this paper you will cut at 2 3/16 of an inch, and also it has to be 6 7/8 of an inch in long. And next, it's optional, you don't have to do it, but here I'm gonna on the right side of both 6 7/8 of an inch corners, I cut out both corners. And here, take this card and you will see this paper. The border you will adhere right here, and it's like very pretty orange color, and it matches with the paper that's inside of the frame. And then this paper here will go next around 1/16 of an inch from the border. So that's how it should look. Okay, ink edges and apply glue, and then adhere both of these papers on the paper. So we're gonna do that shortly. After your edges are inked, you will adhere these pieces down. So first, take your border and adhere the border to the left section of your 2.5 inch flap. Okay, next take a piece of pattern paper and just glue it next to the border. 1/16 of an inch from the border and from right edge of the flap. Close this flap and look how beautiful it looks so far. Before I continue matting the inside of the card, we will create another tag that will go on top of this frame, and then we will go to the inside. Take smaller ephemera card and cut it down to 2 3/4 of an inch by 3 5/8 of an inch. And then take your chipboard, a 1mm chipboard, and cut two pieces at 2 7/8 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. Set this card aside, and you will wrap chipboard piece in wrapping material. It can be the same as your, the same color, and of course the same material as you wrapped your frame into. So it can be all like cardstock or paper or fabric, whatever you desire. But just make sure it's like, I like to work with lighter materials, with not so thick materials. So just make sure that you choose something not so thick, that is like thinner material. So I like fabrics, or because they wrap so much easily around the edges. Once the chipboard piece is adhered to your paper, then take your scissors and cut your paper or cardstock at the edges. Corners, each corner. To wrap my material around the edges, I usually use wet glue. Apply score tape to the back of the tag, and then adhere the tag onto chipboard piece. Set these tags aside for a while, and we will create the inside of the card. Next, you will create a mat, and this mat will be attached to the inside of this left flap, and you will cut it to 6 1/4 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. And then you will take a die. If you can take like similar die that I have here. And how you will do this, if you can imagine, this is a die. This die is already cut, but how this should look, these two corners should be aligned with corners of 5 3/8 with one 5 3/8 of an inch edge. And then you will measure from this corner. Can you imagine if this is together? So you measure from one corner of a die 1 inch and a quarter from both sides, and then you just cut away. So here, this edge, top and bottom edges of a die are 1 inch and 1.25 inches, but the whole thing should be wide 2 inches and 1/4. And I will show you why it needs to be like that, because when you align these two pieces together and you will attach this to the inside, right edge of the frame and edge of a die cut image should be aligned. And when this will be attached down, so it should be like around 2 1/4 inches from, the whole die cut piece should be like around 2 1/4 inches from the edge. So you can take if you have the same die, or if you find something similar, but just make sure that from here to here, from the edge of frame and up to here, should be like 2 inches and 1/4. And next you will adhere this piece to this mat. Okay, take score tape. Okay, and there you go. And this is how your piece should look so far. Now take it aside, and you're gonna mat the inside of the right flap. Take 8 by 8 paper with borders and you will cut out this border here where it says Sweet Dreams. And next, now cut this border at 6 7/8 of an inch. It's right here. This border is 1 1/4 of an inch wide, and then take the same paper as you matted the right flap and cut it down to 5 1/8 of an inch by 6 7/8 of an inch. And this paper will be adhered on the right section of the flap, and the border will be here, like 1/16 of an inch from score line and from right edge of the paper. I die cut this paper and it's it's 5 1/4 of an inch high, and then it's 1/16 of an inch shorter than the piece cut out from, the piece that I cut from cardstock. So that means it's like 2 3/16 of an inch wide. And then you just adhere this on top and make sure that you will line both these straight lines of your paper and cardstock die cut. After you mat this part of the mat, take your score tape and place score tape to the whole area of the rest of the cardstock. Turn the mat over and you will mat this side of the mat. For die cut part, cut out your piece and do it the same as you did with the front. And this part is, you cut the paper at 7/8 of an inch. Then you need two papers and cut them at 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 of an inch. And this paper is cut out from Solids and Patterns pad and cut it out at 5 by 5 1/4 of an inch. This paper, you adhere die cut part, and this blue dot papers will go on each side of the mat, and then the solid orange will go between both blue papers. your mat is matted, so now we will attach it to the inside of the left flap. The height of this mat is 5 3/8 of an inch, so you have to measure that it's gonna be the same distance from top and bottom edge of the flap, and measure 13/16 of an inch from top and bottom, and mark with your pencil. So I made marks right here, so this is 13/16 inch, and here. So don't forget to line the edge of this die cut piece with the edge of the frame. So peel off the tape backing, and line top and bottom edges of the mat with pencil marks. And this is how mat should look when attached. I think it looks so beautiful, and you can put some picture in here, or maybe another card with an image, or for journaling. So whatever you want to do, you can put, you can place here. Take your small ephemera card for journaling you created earlier, and you will need to adhere one piece of chipboard behind left section of the behind left section of the card. So turn the piece over and measure 1 inch from the edge, draw a line, and then take a piece of chipboard. It's also 1 inch wide and the same length as your card, as your chipboard piece that your card is adhered to. And now measure 1 3/8 of an inch from it will be from actually from left edge, but when you turn it around it's from right edge. Now it's on the right side. It's 1 3/8 of an inch, and down here 1 3/8 of an inch. And now draw a line and take score tape, place score tape to 1 3/8 of an inch area. Now measure 1 5/8 of an inch from top and bottom edges. You can measure only from one edge because anyway it's from both from both edges is the same distance. Then you will remove tape backing and you will adhere ephemera card 1 3/8 of an inch from right edge of the border, of the frame. But anyway, even if you don't measure, the chipboard that is here will stop at the right, at the left edge of this side of the frame. So you just remove tape backing, actually you will adhere this around 1 1.5 inch from this right edge of this frame. So yeah, it's around, it's 1.5. Take one chipboard piece and apply apply score tape to the back of the left side of the piece here, to the left side of the piece, and then place it somewhere here in the middle of ephemera card, and make sure that it will be in the middle of this half circle. So now what you want to take is one rhinestone and place it here to this hole of the chipboard. I think this is the right size. Let me see. I just chose blue rhinestone. You can choose any color. Just choose the color that will match papers. I think blue will go perfectly. And then also take two larger rhinestone and adhere them here on each corner. So I think this is not enough. I still need some more embellishments, and take this chipboard, is like hard, and place score tape just to middle part of the chipboard, and then just attach it here to top section of the frame and center it to middle section. Okay, I like to measure with ruler to see if everything is measured correctly. Yeah, it is. And then just pushed down, and look at that. Now open both flaps and you will mat this inside of the small flap. So I cut this paper at 2 3/8 of an inch. Okay, let's apply glue and adhere this piece down. We are gonna create the mat for this flap, and cut a piece of cardstock at 5 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4 of an inch, and then take a tag. I mean, this is like ephemera card, and cut it down to 3 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4 of an inch. And you will adhere the tag to the left section of the mat. Cover remaining area of the cardstock with score tape. You will cut 2 pieces of paper at 1 by 5 3/4 of an inch, and ephemera card at 3 5/8 of an inch by 5 3/4 of an inch. So you will glue these 2 papers on each side of the mat, and ephemera card will go between both papers. peel the tape backing off and center the tag 9/16 of an inch from top and bottom edges of the flap, and line left edge of the flap with right edge of the card. And this is how the card should look. And next you will mat the inside of the middle part or the base of your card. Cut 2 pieces of paper at 1 by 6 7/8 of an inch, and a larger paper at 5 3/4 of an inch by 6 7/8 of an inch. You will glue these 2 pieces down on each side of the page, and the larger and larger paper between both yellow striped papers, like that. This is how your greeting card is look when assembled, and looks so great, but I still felt there is something missing on this side here on this mat. So I decided to take, it's children's greeting card, and we know, kids like images and pictures and things like that. So you cannot go wrong if you put more into greeting card for children. And I cut this image I cut it out from Ephemera card, the small one, and I think it's this one. Let me see, I can find it. Okay, yeah, it's this one. So I just cut this red border away, and this is how it looks. And when image is cut, it measures 2 3/16 of an inch by 3 3/16 of an inch. And you will also need a piece of cardstock for matting this tag. And this piece measures 2 5/16 of an inch by 3 5/16 of an inch. And all you will do is glue this piece glue a tag to a piece of cardstock. A tag will be adhered to right section of the mat, but you will not adhere it all the way down. You will apply score mat to the back of the tag, and you will apply it to the right side. So it will be on this side. So you turn it over, you will apply it. It's actually on this side, on the left, and you need to apply like half an inch. Just apply it to half an inch section. Okay, so here, see, when you turn it around, it's on the right side. And remove this flap, or just let me see, maybe one more. Yeah, you can just do it like 3/4 of an inch. That should be okay. So now you applied score tape to 3/4 of an inch section. Remove the tape backing. Center a tag 1 inch from top edge of the mat and around 1/4 of an inch from right edge. And the purpose of this tag is, like, if you have a photo of the child that you will give this greeting card to, you can tuck his photo behind, or if you will give him a money or something as a present, you can tuck a money behind a tag. And then here on this side you can also place, and then here on this side you can place also a picture, or you can take some other ephemera card and place it here. And here again is another space for journaling, for wishes, or some beautiful quote. And here it is. And last, you will match this, the back of the card. You will cut 2 pieces of this paper at 1 1/8 of an inch by 6 7/8 of an inch, and 5.5 inches, I think. Yeah, it's 5.5 by 6 7/8 of an inch of this paper. You will glue these 2 papers on each side, and then this paper in the middle. The card is finished, and I hope you enjoyed making this with me.